I
Good, yeah.
need my hairdresser. Makeup. That big gigantic powder puff that goes. Anyway.
You know, Debra, that's going to be the intro.
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, I found doing this a couple of times that some of the funniest, outtakes actually come before you start the official thing because everybody's like calm and, poised and all that kind of stuff. When actually you say a bunch of funny stuff before that actually happens. That's the reason why I hit record.
Well, the reason you say funny stuff is because you don't expect to be recorded.
I actually had the opposite. I did that first podcast recording. I had pre-written material and I launched into it because I thought we were recording and we weren't. Then I had to do it again.
I just wanted to back us up a little bit and just say the one reason why we know each other and know each other's writing styles is because we're in a writing group together and we see each other every week. And it's a lot of fun to talk about genre in our group. And also here on your podcast, Henry.
Yeah. That's actually a good thing to mention because at this point I've only interviewed people that I've actually never met before. So that is not true in this situation. So yeah, that is a good thing to mention.
Oh.
All right. Well, I mean, like I said, I thought that we can go around and kind of talk about the different things that our different styles or at least our aspirations. And I think it does kind of make sense to start with you, Brian, since yours is kind of unusual. Your style is absurdist. Is that how you would characterize it?
Well, the current novel I'm working on, I would characterize in that way because I don't have any other way. I would say dark humor, black humor is one way of saying it.
So where did I get that word absurdist from? Have you never used it?
I said that. Yeah, I said that.
You said that. Okay.
Yeah,
is it if you Google absurdist literature, does something come up or?
Yeah, and it's probably not what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking well, I'm thinking of writing by Kurt Vonnegut or Don DeLillo, dark humor.
Okay, cool. But you said what was the other way that you characterized it then?
Well, that's how I'd characterize what I'm working on right now. I do try to write in other genres, capturing, the style and spirit of those. So in fantasy and other speculative writing, I would say that's not the style that I go for.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So I mean, what about the absurdist style that kind of attracted you? Is that just your worldview?
Yeah, so I think it's just I read a lot of novels by Don DeLillo: Americana, Great Jones Street, Mal 2, Libra, White Noise, and and it really just felt like the natural kind of voice that spoke to me.
Right.
That's why I was able to plow through so many of them. And when I start writing contemporarily, that's what tends to come out is just this kind of darkly humorous, maybe overemphasis on dialogue. That's certainly an issue with with DeLillo and myself, but it's all of a piece. It's telling a story where the things that people say are kind of incongruent with their behavior and even with necessarily the spirit of their worldview. So that's what I try to go for with.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So Debra, so you're not horror, but would you say it's magical realism, or how would you characterize your writing?
I find, it's difficult to label. I find it difficult to glomp onto a specific genre. My first book, Dina Undone, was labeled horror by my publisher. I hadn't thought it was horror. I think he was probably closer to the truth than I was, which I thought it was speculative thriller. But what had determined the genre of that first book had more to do with the experience that made me write it than anything else. And the novel ended up becoming what it was going to become. And it was really kind of there was no forethought into fitting it into any specific genre. It was what it was. And going forward, I've noticed that most of my writing has that same kind of sensibility that can be fit in the cracks of speculative fiction, horror, dark fantasy, speculative thriller, all fit in there. I think what informs it, in my mind, more than wanting to write in a specific genre, is I've approached writing, which is a relatively new discipline for me. I've approached writing through the lens of my years in music. I think because I approach it through the sense of sound and rhythm, it seems to have lent itself to speculative thriller, speculative fiction more than anything else. It's difficult for me to pare things down into its simplest form as a prose writer. I admire people who can write that way. I'm not at a place where I feel comfortable writing that way. Maybe it's because I don't trust that the story itself will carry the day. I'm really interested in how to paint a scene and express how someone is feeling through musical discipline. And that has kind of informed my work.
Now, I happen to know that statement, "I don't trust that the story will carry the day," has to do with the kind of reader you are. Oh, I mean, how would you?
I am
How
an
would you?
impatient reader
That's
by a
right.
lot,
You're easily bored.
but I can very easily bored. I have the attention span of a child, a gnat, and I am very easily bored. What's really strange, but what doesn't correlate, is that I tend to skip over anything descriptive. I tend to skip over descriptive text. I want the facts. I want to know what happens. I need closure. I need to know what the story is about. One would and that kind of is why some people suggest that I need more. But at the same time, it doesn't make sense that I would then spend so much time as I do describing feelings in the way in which I do it, because I'm not just sticking to the facts. When I write these stories, I'm interested in how the things that interest me are described. It's possible that if I was reading my own work and I didn't know who the hell wrote it, I would just skip over whole chunks of it and just get to the story. Someone who wants to get to the story, one would think, would be a spare writer, and I can't call myself a spare writer. I just leave out the parts that don't interest me, which is the issue. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I thought Alison would go last because Alison basically writes in every genre. So what's your
Everything.
every genre? I mean, is there really no genre that you would never write in? I mean, would you ever write a political thriller?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I feel though there are ones that I'm better at, just because these are ones that I enjoy more myself. So
Mm-hmm.
my go-to tends to be, fantasy, speculative fiction, romance. These are the ones that I feel like I read the most, and literary. So one challenge that I had with a recent project where I was writing books in all different genres was Western. Western is not my go-to. I feel like it's a very problematic genre, but of course it's a large genre, so I had to include it in my list of ones that I was going to write. So I tried to put my own spin on it and put some diverse characters in there, and that made it work for me.
Okay.
But generally, yeah, I probably, unless the Western comes out and it's a huge bestseller, I'm probably not going to revisit that genre anytime soon. But yeah, I just wanted to back us up a little bit and just say the one reason why we know each other and know each other's writing styles is because we're in a writing group together, and we see each other every week, and it's a lot of fun to talk about genre in our group. And also here on your podcast, Henry.
Actually, on the whole thing of genre, I've never actually thought much about genre. I mean, it's like I've always, I mean, I think Alison's known me the longest. The things that will always stand out in my novel are, like the sex scenes, the technology, and the politics. I mean, those are the things that really drive my writing. And so I don't know if there's a genre for that so much. Well, I was actually just going to say, Alison, go ahead, Brian.
No, I was just saying, yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. I was just going to say that why don't you kick it off, because I have your name first in the actual title of this podcast, of
My
this
name?
particular episode. Yeah, because you're the most popular person
Yes.
out of all of us.
I mean, you could have just said it's
also
because my name
alphabetical
starts
order.
with A.
Well, but that's the good excuse. That's a good excuse, but that's not actually the reason. So why don't you go ahead and start, give us basically what you were saying. the update on where you're at. So you've got
Oh, okay.
5
Yeah.
books that you are about to shop around.
So, for people who don't know, I did a crazy project in 2024 called Author versus AI, where basically using no AI at all, I wrote 34 books within the year. So, obviously these were first drafts. They were shorter than normal books. They were about 40,000 words on average, a little bit more. But they were definitely not ready to get published. They were not ready to, I had a lot of editing to do, and I did a lot of that editing last year. So I focused on several of these books and edited them, and I'm running them right now through my writing group, but I'm about ready to start querying them. So one thing that I'm doing is I'm working on not just my query letter, but also all the other things that you need for querying a book, like your synopsis, researching agents, putting a list together. So it's a lot of work behind the scenes before you actually send out the first query. So, and I'm actually planning on doing, don't try this at home, kids. I'm planning on doing 5 books at once. Not all to the same agents. There's a certain, respectability about this, but basically I have 5 books in different genres, and I'm going to query different agents and see who takes a bite first.
Okay.
Because like Debra, I'm impatient and I
I
want to
was
get
just
it
going to
done.
say that. You are clearly, you're a girl after my own heart. You're impatient.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. So, okay. Well, I mean, that definitely gives us a lot to catch up on from week to week. That's for sure.
Yeah, I haven't sent out a single query yet, but when I do, I am happy to report back here about how it's going and how terrible it is, and the waiting game starts.
Now, you've been writing query letters for years. I mean, so is that an easy thing for you, or is it like new challenges every single time you do it?
I have even though I've been writing and editing query letters, it's hard when it's your own stuff. Like it's hard to like look at your stuff objectively and say, no, but really my query letter should be 500 words because I have so much wonderful stuff to put in it. And so like I gotta thank Debra, because Debra is putting me in my place in our writing group and saying, you know what, you have too many words, cut these back, this sucks, don't put it in. So no, but I am so thankful for that, because I'm like, I don't know what to change.
Well, it's why my one chance to just kind of go there, because I can't go there anyplace else. Nothing I write can do that. This is the one place.
Nice.
Okay, so where are you at, Deborah? Where are you at with your
But you're going
projects?
alphabetically. I see Brian is next. Brian's got the B.
So, all
Yeah,
right,
I don't
so
mind
let's
jumping in. So,
yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Couple of projects I can talk about. I have a fantasy trilogy outlined. The first book I independently put out last year. It's called Spirit of the Plane. I'm writing the follow-up, or I have it half outlined. I'm starting chapters on that. And also, I have been writing for about a year. I've actually finished a few times of what I consider that more contemporary absurdist. By the way, I did like Google absurdist literature, and those authors I mentioned are a part of that, as well as like Kafka and Jean-Paul
Yeah,
Sartre.
Metamorphosis. Yeah, I can see that.
And yeah, so it's a sub-branch of kind of more literary things. So I had this idea at a music festival like a year and a half ago, or a year and 3 months ago, because I was talking with a friend who mentioned going through a midlife crisis and asking him like, what does that entail exactly? And he was like, I don't know. And I said, well, what if there was a place where we could get our midlife crisis and just kind of get it out of the way? And so that is my work, Crisis Inc., which is, in a third edit. I'm pretty much ready to, just do final polishing, like proofing and things. But, I've been sharing it with you guys and getting feedback as well. So yeah, and the big thing is with Spirit of the Plane, trying to build some kind of audience. Sales have been tepid, but I do have like 6 reviews from people I don't know on Amazon that are positive.
Whoa.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
So
Brian, are you a member of any fantasy or organizations or anything?
I am not. And you know what? I actually just started to look into some nearby events and festivals. There's something coming up in, I think it was Vermont, that I might try to go to. There's different festivals that have where you can get a table to sell your book and they have other things and it's
See, I don't
fantasy
know.
based.
Yeah, I don't know about, all I know is Horror Writers Association, which is an extremely active organization that has many, many, many book cons all over the place. I know one author, however, who has sold a lot of books because she just goes from one to another to another. And I don't know if I've been told that the thriller genre is not as collegiate as the horror writers. But I don't know about the fantasy genre. Or the
I
romance
know,
It
genre.
I
seems to have a
know.
lot of activity, but yeah.
You should join Codex Writers, CODEX Writers. It's
Okay.
a group of professional writers. You have to have a certain minimum number of publications, like I think a book counts. But they share information about it's fantasy, science fiction, and horror. So
I'll write this
it's
down.
a wonderful group, and it's all online. So they all share opportunities, publishing opportunities, things like that, events that are coming up. But yeah, Codex Writers, it's free to join.
I assume that's CODEX.
Yep, CODEX, Codex Writers. And yeah, there's some quite notable writers who are members, but yeah, great connections.
And
Thank
so,
you,
yeah,
Sarah.
and I've noticed with the horror people, there's a lot of self-publishers who that's what they're doing. They're just going and they're selling books. Like they're just selling books, these things. I don't know if it works. I'm doing my first big one in February. We'll see what happens.
Trying to get on the docket for this one I mentioned. I think it was more like April. But yeah,
I know
I have a full-time job, unfortunately, so I can't
I know
go to
there's
all of them.
one huge convention event that's AuthorCon, and I'm pretty sure it's all genres. And what I've heard about AuthorCon is that there is a waiting list, and you can sell like more than 100 books of that book. And I don't know. That's all I know. That's the gossip. It could even be true.
So where is AuthorCon? Is it
I think
in
it changes. I think
from city to
I
city?
think
Oh,
last
okay.
year was in Philadelphia, but I'm just not sure.
Okay.
I should get my name on there, but
Okay. Is that it, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to dip my toe into different styles of promotion. I have some podcasts that I'm scheduled to be on, and promising myself that I'm going to do something on social media, though it's really hard for me. I have to like really swallow a lot of pent up rage to even dip a toe in the water. Because I do blame it for the collapse of society, which is coming soon to a theater near you. But yeah, I'll try.
Okay, Debra. So how would you sum up where you're at?
D word. Well, I mean, my one book came out a year ago, October 24. So I'm trying to wrap my head around finding things like these conventions or whatever book events to sell it. Other than that, I'm pretty busy with short stories that need to be submitted to people that I want to have love me. And I do reviews for a horror e-zine called Ginger Nuts of Horror. So that keeps me busy as well. It also is interesting to do reviews because it gives you to get to the place where your head starts reading something that's critiquing something, I find has helped me a lot with my own writing, particularly if I set my writing aside for a week and then pull it out again and see the big pile of schlock that I've managed to put onto a page, thinking that it's really fantastic. That's an interesting exercise to go through. So I'm working on a novel. I've just finished a first draft of that novel. It's dark fantasy. Thank you, Alison, for helping me categorize that. And I'm in the process of rewrite with the help of this writing group because I've been submitting chapters. And lastly, I have one project that I'm trying to line up doing filming reels of excerpts of Dina Undone, done as if it's a reading with lighting and good camera and possibly music in the background. And I've tried to put together excerpts under a minute long, and I've contacted a film guy who said he'd work with me on it. And I want to put together maybe at least 5 of them to start and then put them out there and see what happens. I have no idea if it's going to work. It could be cringy and I'll not want anyone to see it at all. But being a performer, I really love doing readings. I like memorizing the excerpts so that it can be a performance. And I want to translate that onto reels to see if I can get some kind of momentum going with that.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. I mean, that's an interesting idea. That reminds me that, gives me an opportunity to mention that I'm not when you say reels, do you specifically mean
For Instagram or YouTube.
Instagram reels? Okay. Because, I don't actually use TikTok, but now that I have content that I can actually put on TikTok, I'm going to create an account tonight, maybe,
Mm.
and kind of see how that goes. So, my impression is that if you can post it on Instagram, you can also post it on TikTok.
Here's my question about TikTok, and maybe you guys can answer it. I have assumed that TikTok is for a younger audience. Am I wrong in that? Like 20-somethings, maybe
I mean,
30-somethings.
it tends to be. It does skew younger, especially for book talk, which is, so there's a lot of like discussion about like YA books rather than like adult books, and but it's been around long enough that that's not true 100% anymore. There are definitely people our age, I will say, on it too. I'm on it, which is like, bringing up the age, I would say on it. I don't know, it's fun and people do appreciate short, and there's a certain algorithm like with any other platform, but yeah, it can be useful if you have small things to share.
Right. And I haven't until recently. And so, since I'm going to put them up as shorts on YouTube, I figure I might as well put them up on TikTok and see what happens. So,
What do you
okay.
think is the optimal length, Henry?
Well, the first thing that I have in mind is 4 minutes. And it feels to me like it goes pretty fast, but I don't know, 'cause I'm not really a TikTok user.
I would suggest under a minute. That
Under a
there are
minute?
certain, yeah. So they have like 1 minute, they have up to 10 minutes. Yeah, but it under a minute is definitely what you want for TikTok.
Okay. Well, I actually do have a couple of, because these platforms, I mean, not only does Riverside create shorts for you, so does Substack. Substack creates shorts for you as well. And I guess that's the reason why they have a couple of shorts. Because I do have a few that are under a minute. And I'm like, well, what does that actually tell you? But I see now why they do that. Because,
Short attention span.
yeah,
When I'm
exactly.
dead scrolling at night, you better grab my attention in the first 5 seconds or I'm going on.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
scrolling.
They're my most popular videos on TikTok, I am unashamed to say this, are cat videos, which are
Wow.
like 10 seconds, 15 seconds of my cat doing something silly.
So how does that translate into sales? So do you have links to your books on TikTok, or how does
I mean,
that?
I do, and honestly, like on TikTok, I did a lot of my promotion for my project when I was actually writing the book. So I'd read
Hmm.
excerpts from the books that I was writing. I'd talk about what I was working on each week. So I haven't really done a ton since then, thus the cat videos.
Hmm.
But I don't know if you can translate it really into sales because I'm not particularly talking about any book that is published yet, and is out there. But I know other authors, like YA authors, who have had much more success on it promoting their own books.
Okay. Huh. Interesting. So if they like the video, there's like a link to click to your book. Is that the way it works? Or
Yeah, you can put that in the comments on it. Like it's also on your profile. You can put I
hmm
think you can put a link on that. Yeah, I don't know if it's like if people like what you're talking about, they will probably check out more,
hmm
just like any social media.
Okay. Okay. So I guess I'll go ahead and talk about myself. The main thing that I've been focusing on is Substack, and everything else sort of comes out from that. Because I found Podmatch through Substack. Because one of the things you can do with Substack is when you upload content, like either video, like the video I'm going to upload from this meeting that we have, or or scenes that I'm recording from the novel that I'm serializing. When you upload the content, you have all these options of where Substack can push that content out to. So, the content goes automatically to YouTube, Spotify. I can also share it on Facebook and Twitter. But then they list these platforms that I've never heard of, and one of the platforms was Pocket Cast or something like that. And so, I have to go in, I have to create an account, and then, like link the account to my Substack. And once I did that, I got an email from one of the people at Podmatch basically congratulating me on my podcast. and that's how I found Podmatch. And so once I started making these kind of videos, doing interviews and conducting interviews as a host, now I have all this content. So it's like, well, I might as well use it. And that's why I'm thinking about creating a TikTok account, my creator's account. I mean, I never thought I would have a creator's account because, I'm not on TikTok. It's not a platform I use. So,
but if you do that, you might need a different name for, I think you said Podmatch interviews or.
Right. That's the name of, on Substack, that's the name of this particular podcast, because basically I have two podcasts on Substack. There's this one, Podmatch Interviews, and then there's the Council of Nobles.
Okay, do you mostly interview writers then for this?
Yeah, well, that's all I've agreed to interview. I mean, I get a lot of requests from a lot of different kinds of people. It's amazing. But yeah, I only interview writers at this point.
Okay, so it might be good to have a title that includes something writer related in the title. So when people are it's fine when it's from your Substack, but if you're doing TikTok, people will be like, what is Podmatch? What does that have to do with writers?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
So
I got you.
Podmatch writers, or I don't know.
Something
Henry's
like that.
Writers.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. That's good advice. So yeah, basically that's where I am. Okay, well we're at an hour and 15 minutes, I think. Yeah, an hour and 10 minutes. So you guys have anything else you want to say for this video? How do you think it went? I know it was choppy in the beginning. Hopefully next week will be easier.